High-speed chest rigs for the tactical enthusiast, small enough to be concealed, yet still carry enough to LARP in the backyard. The Trex Arms Ready Rig, no wait, this is the Krydex Tactical 556, Ready Rig, low-vis, chest rig, elastic cummerbund, concealed lightweight adjustable vest. Catchy, like a venereal disease. Now stop right there, you say. Some of you eagle-eyed viewers may remember I already reviewed the Trex Arms Ready Rig and liked it quite a bit for what it is. But this is the same thing, just made in China, instead of Mexico. This video is really a secret outlet for me to vent about the plethora of fake tactical products floating around out there, rip-off nylon, rip-off armor. Wow, you guys really are scum. Rip-off optics, rip-off titles, originality is dead. The madness continues and so must I. So Krydex cloned the Ready Rig and sells them to airsofters and LARPers everywhere. I wanted to check out one of these Eastern ripoffs and see how they held up, and what better way to do so than to test a design that I already know I like. Now, to keep everyone on the same page, the Ready Rig, as the name implies, is something that's low-vis, easy to store, easy to put on in a hurry, and carries the bare minimum amount of stuff. Up front, you have 3 5.56 magazine pouches, offset on either side. You have a total of 2 2-inch cells for multi-tools, pistol mags, TQs, flashlights, etc., 2 more 3-inch cells for extra mags or radios, and then 2 more 4-inch cells towards the back for your bigger items such as medical, cuffs, or your favorite snack of choice. Now that's the Trex Arms Ready Rig. The Chinese variation kind of hit the randomizer button on the cell sizes. For instance, you can fit metal 308 and AK mags in some of the 5.56 pouches, but not others. Some pouches fit Balefang radios really nice and others don't. They are a reasonable facsimile of the real thing, I suppose, but not much more. Now on mine, you will notice that I have a dangler flipped over the front, and that's where I store my extras like a rangefinder, firearm lube, multi-tool, batteries, and usually I can stuff a few Cliff Bars in there. Again, it's just enough stuff to justify its existence. Is it a full rig where you can shoot all day and sustain off of it? No, but that's not what it's designed to do, so don't buy it for that. Now, it is an X-harness design, which I am personally fine with, and for how much you're hanging off of it, I find it very comfortable. Also aiding in comfort is the elastic cummerbund, which keeps everything from flopping around as it moves with you as you do your thing. Now, I should mention that the Krydex is actually out of date, as the newest Ready Rigs have some updates that they haven't quite cloned yet, like places for pull tabs on the newest Ready Rigs. I would give them about a month before they get that updated.
Write that down, write that down!
Now let's get into what some of you are undoubtedly most interested in. Does it hold up like the real thing? Well, kind of. I've been using this for over a year now, very regularly. I put several hundred hours of use into the unit, a couple of full days in there as well, and the thing has held up okay. Some of the pouches are a little more on the loose side of things now versus when it was new. Some of the stitching is fraying. Structurally, the thing is still very much intact and workable. Now, the Velcro on the front is worse than the real thing to start. It's not as strong, and it is definitely a wear component, especially on mine, where it's still in the fine category, but again, it is wearing out over time. So in terms of wear, that's where mine's at right now. Is it complete garbage? No. It's like one step above that. It might work well enough for 2 or 3 years, 5 years might be a bit of a stretch, no pun intended, but it's really not going to hold up like something that's higher quality. And by better, I don't just mean more expensive. Lots of surplus LBE is dirt cheap and far higher quality, and it's going to last a lot longer, and it isn't going to cost much more if it does at all. So that's where we come to value. These aren't cheap enough to buy. I think street price on the Krydex Ready Rig is $40 to $50, which is about what I paid for this example, and that's only $50 off the real thing that's nicer. Now, 50% off sounds like a huge discount, but on an item you should be able to use for over a decade, the ultimate difference of only $50 is quite literally nothing in the long run. And that's the case for a lot of the Eastern knockoffs. You save a little in the short term, but end up throwing it away and getting something else in the long term, so the value question can be questionable at best depending on your use case. Now, if you only wear your stuff once or twice a year, quality might not matter that much to you, and you would rather spend those saved dollars in other places in life because most of us have a lot more going on than just LARPing for the gram. But if you're more serious about all this stuff, again, for whatever purpose, that's where the value proposition gets sketchy. Speaking of sketchy, IP theft, something that the East has nearly perfected. Or perhaps people in the West just using Eastern manufacturing to profit off of their stolen intellectual property. Who would do that? Now back to value, what actually is a good value these days? Well, again, surplus stuff is always there, and while it might not be the newest or flashiest stuff, it does work and has a long history of working. New nylon, while some of it can be expensive, if you start around the $200 price tag, you can get a very high quality chest rig that will last you basically forever and have all the features that you want. Citadel Defense Spectre, the Trex Arms has several variations, Admin himself came out with a $400 chest rig. Sorry, that's a joke, don't buy that one. Point being, there's lots of good nylon floating around out there from American companies that, in the grand scheme of things, is very cheap. I'm someone who's bought a lot of Chinese or Eastern nylon with varying degrees of success. Funnily enough, the item that I have the most time with out of everything I own is a Condor battle belt that I've used for the better part of a decade now. You guys have probably seen it in 99% of my last videos. So some of the stuff will actually last quite a long time, and some of it will fall apart very quickly. Now, when it comes to the rest of the industry, we see basically the same thing in every sector. AliExpress knockoff mounts and stocks, though those might actually be a better buy than the real thing at this point, or in the cases of the Hydra mounts, just a waste of money all the way around. I feel like the Hydra mounts are a good litmus test for susceptibility to garbage CQB propaganda on Instagram. The only other knockoff that really intrigues me at this point, and purely out of morbid curiosity, is the Nightforce ATACR knockoffs. Those are going for around 300 bucks. Obviously, they don't have the diffractive illumination, but the rest of the feature set is kind of there, at least on paper, and that might be a fun test at some point in the future. But that's about it for my rant on this topic. Hopefully you got something out of it somehow, or at least enjoyed it a little bit. So go ahead and let me know what you think of all of this in the comments down below. And with all of that out of the way, thank you so much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed. I will see you in the next one. God bless.